Hey there. In life, we have things that we are afraid of. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of clowns? Is that because of it? Are you, I don't know, afraid of fantasy, the unreal dragons, wizards, knights? Is that because Eyes of the Dragon? I don't know, are you afraid of psychotic serial killers? That might be because of Mr. Mercedes. What about losing weight, dieting? I think that might be because of Thinner. Or what about being scared of the flu? Is that because of The Stand? These books, they all have something in common, and that is that they are written by none other than Stephen King. Now, Stephen King has been deemed the master of horror by many other authors and fans alike. Stephen King was born on September 21st, 1947, to Donald King and Nellie Ruth King. Now, growing up, King, they were a poor family, and him and his adopted brother decided they were going to write a little newspaper for their little town, and they sold it for a nickel apiece. King and his brother, their form of entertainment was reading. They read a lot, and it is something they enjoyed very much. One day, Donald King went to Nellie King and said he was going out to go get a pack of cigarettes, and he never returned home, which left them in poverty, and Nellie Ruth was working 3 jobs just to keep them above water. Whenever he was growing up, King decided and learned that writing and doing something with that was his passion. So he attended the University of Maine, where he was an English education major. Now, during his college time and his free time, he would sit down and he'd type out short stories and novellas to send into magazines and newspapers, just to try to get his name out there and make a little bit of extra cash while he was at it. It was at the University of Maine where he met his wife, and they had their first daughter, Naomi King. About this time when he was getting married and he had his daughter, his mother was diagnosed with ovarian and lung cancer, which is at a very severe level. When this was happening, King was just now getting in. He had gotten a job teaching, and it was something he hated. He never liked it. It was just something he didn't feel passionate about. So he would go home, he'd grade papers, and then he'd write for a couple of hours. He started writing one. He got an idea about a senior prom and a girl with telekinetic powers. So he started writing about it, and about 3 pages in, he trashed the idea, until his wife came in, read the couple of pages, and told him to finish it. He sent it in to the publisher, and the publisher thought it was a great idea, and definitely with some work, it could get out there. The novel was soon published and was known as Carrie. Now, right before Carrie was published, Nellie Ruth died due to the severity of her cancer. But she was able to see the original rough draft of Carrie, which made her very, very happy. So, to cope with his loss of his mother, King, Naomi, and Nellie Ruth moved down to Boulder, Colorado, where sadly King became a very, very bad alcoholic. But he still wrote, and the next book he published was Salem's Lot, which was his interpretation of Dracula. And then soon after that, it was a collection of short stories which included The Mist, which was made into a popular film, along with The Shining, which was also made into a popular Stanley Kubrick film. That was known to be one of the scariest movies of all time, or of its time. But King basically denounced it and said it wasn't a faithful retelling, more of an interpretation of it. It was around this time, not around this time. Afterwards, he moved back to Maine and he started writing again, and it became his full-time job. He had 2 other sons. He had Joe King and Owen King, and he kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. And King was a man, he cranked out books. And this is a reason why he has over 50 books to his name. Now, there was a couple of other books that really weren't in his name. King went to the publishers and said, hey, all my old books that I wrote in college, I like them. I want to get them out there. Well, the publishers had in mind that they didn't really want to do that. They wanted to keep his reputation the way it was, and they didn't want to change anything. So King got the little idea to publish them under a different name, and that name was none other than Richard Bachman, where he published books that he had written while he was a teacher and while he was in college. One of these was Rage, which was the which was about a psychotic kid taking a school hostage, which eventually led some real kids to do something around the same idea, same vicinity of that. Which that's one of King's only regrets, was he regrets publishing that one. But other than that, he's been a very, very highly praised person for some of his novels, like It, which was made into a TV movie, The Shining, which was made into a movie, Cujo, which was made into a movie. Majority of his books were made into movies. Now, the most recent one, which has actually gotten a lot of praise and been a little bit more open to the community of non-readers, is 11/22/63, which is about a teacher from Maine who goes back in time to prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, King he's a crazy man. He's normal, but at the same time his mind is different. The way he writes, it's different. Like I said, he's been deemed the king of horror. That's his genre. It's what he does best. It's his forte. Now, a lot of people these days don't read as much as they used to. So if you go back to 1980, you'd realize that a lot more people would read the books. But nowadays, it's more people recognize him for the movies that were based off of his books. And he had taken part in many, many different movies. He was in his own movies a couple of times. He was in a couple episodes of Sons of Anarchy. And he even formed his own rock band called the Rock Bottom Remainders, which is just a bunch of authors having a good time. King is definitely an inspiration to the authors and writers of today's society and community. He has been an inspiration to many. He even led his own 2 sons to become writers of their own. But Joe Hill, he goes under the name Hill to kind of keep the barrier between him and his dad. And Owen King decided not to do horror because they knew the best was already doing it. I hope you learned a little bit today about this profound American author, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.